Okay.
Hello everyone.
Hey, Joanne.
Hi. Maybe we can start now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, new giggers. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Um, for those of you who are watching our Facebook Live right now, or for those of you who have no idea what newgig.me is, let me tell you a little bit about what we do here. We are a team of volunteers who created this digital platform, to provide you with the resources that you need for the new world that is full of uncertainty about employment, economy, and even about your health. So basically, what we do is to gather different resources so that you would understand yourself a little more, and then you can understand the market a little bit more as well, like what are the hot jobs out there and the hot trends, and what are the skills that you need to land on your dream job. And in order to land on your dream job, we will be having different services coming out soon in April. Uh, for example, we will be having pro bono coaching programs, and also free mock reviews and mock interviews and CV reviews. So please stay tuned with us. And if you haven't registered at our website, please make sure you go to newgig.me so that you register as a member, and will be able to get all the updates we have in terms of our events and all the free services that will be provided to you. And if you are watching Facebook Live, please go to follow us and like our Facebook page, because there will be many events coming up in April. So speaking of understanding yourself and the market and landing on your dream job, tonight we have a very special guest. He is known to be an efficient life strategist, a business coach, entrepreneur, and mountaineer. He has 15 years of corporate finance and international business development experience in large corporations. He was born and raised in Paris, France, and lived in Boston, in the US for a few years. And now he's living in Hong Kong and has been living in Hong Kong for over 13 years. Now he's the founder of a company which the mission is to empower men and women to live their dreams. So basically, he is going to share with us all kinds of interesting stories and information that I have just mentioned, that what newgig.me will be providing you with. So let's welcome Alex Gille. Hi, Alex. Thank you for uh, uh, having this interview with us. Thank you so
Uh,
much. Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. Right back to you, Joanne. And thank you for um, taking this topic on this
Hmm.
podcast. And I think it's I really, really, it's a pleasure to be here. To be hello, everyone. It's a pleasure
Hmm.
to be here with you, and I really enjoy what you do. I follow
Hmm.
a few of the interviews of other speakers, and it's always a lot of values that are brought by the speakers to a new gig. I love what you do, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, for people listening, can you tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know?
um, One thing people don't know about me is I live full time in hotels, and so it might feel unusual,
Hmm.
and last year, end of the year in December, my wife and
Hmm.
I, we decided to change. We wanted to move, and we visited a lot of apartments. And one day, my wife asked me, "Hey, why aren't we looking for hotels?" And 2 weeks later, we moved to a hotel. And
Hmm.
but the funny story is not really about that. It's that in 2018, September 2018, we
Hmm.
when we crafted our life vision with my wife, we wrote down on a paper that by January 2021 we will be living in hotels. And
Oh.
the reason is because we want it to be a lifestyle for us. We want to be able to move anywhere we want. We want to be able to, we like it, we stay, we don't like it, we move. So hotels was a very easy solution.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't realize it when we moved to the hotel. And I mean, later in February, we say, wait a minute, didn't we think about that before? And the point I want to make here, it's when you have a very, very clear vision about what you want in life,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes things happens without you realizing you are actually doing things. And
Mm-hmm.
that's quite powerful, I think, that, um, you know, creating the life you want needs to be written on paper and needs to make an effort about thinking what you really want, you know.
Mm-hmm. So is that, are you in the hotel right now? Like with the background you have right
Yeah,
now? Is that the
yeah,
hotel that you're
exactly.
in? That is so cool. Like I would, oh, I would never imagine myself moving to a hotel. Actually, I slightly disclosed what I learned from you to my husband, and then he immediately said, "I'm not ready yet." Even though it was such an interesting idea, and it's like simplifying your life so that you're ready for much more, and much more of what you are passionate in doing, and focus less on what's distracting you, basically, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So how did you, how how did you manage to work towards this goal or dream from September 2018 until now? Like, did you actively plan for each step so that you can move to a hotel?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
We it happened, like, you know, it just
Mm-hmm.
happened. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I think because we thought about it a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
we wrote it down, we discussed about this kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
When we had to make the decision of getting rid of everything we had,
Mm-hmm.
it was quite easy, actually. You know, the most, I mean, we gave about 80 or 90% of our stuff to charities, and just donate to people. And the most difficult was actually to find people who wants our stuff. You know,
Oh, yeah.
people who wants to come and pick it up, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
but for us it was really already, you know, maturing in our brain for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So the action was really easy.
So it was like planting a seed a few years ago, and then it
Yes.
just came natural that you achieve this goal that you set many years ago. And because you and your wife had such clarity on what you want it, for your life, the lifestyle that you want, so it comes naturally for you and it seems easy. Like I cannot imagine myself giving away all my stuff, and I have so much stuff. So like, so how how is it like can you tell me a little bit of how it's like to be living in a hotel, and without so much stuff, I would assume.
It's awesome. So of course we had to arrange a little bit the room. And
Mm-hmm.
when we arrived at the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
the hotel was quite surprised by how many stuff we are bringing with us. But everything went well. um,
Mm-hmm.
how is it? I mean, it's great because um, we don't have to manage all the daily
Mm-hmm.
household, you know, all the
Mm-hmm.
chores. I mean, the food, everything is
Mm-hmm.
done for us. So it's basically having a maid without having to manage a maid, you know.
Oh, wow.
Because the hotel is doing everything, and they do everything better than a maid because you don't have to manage them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty, it's a lot of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of freedom also not to have all this stuff that we have accumulated all these years, you know. We
Mm-hmm.
realized when we started to to move to prepare the move, we say, wow, these things, we didn't use it for the last 2 years or 3 years, why do
Mhm.
we still have it,
Mhm.
so
Yes.
we tend, unfortunately, we tend, all of us, to accumulate things,
Mm.
and at some point we realize, and of course it's not for everybody, but my
Mhm.
wife and I, we realized that the less we had stuff, the
Mhm.
more actually our brain was free to think about things that really matters to us.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of freedom. Yeah.
Yes, I really love this idea. The fact that you get to live in a hotel with less stuff, but you can do more, and the fact that you don't have to manage a maid, and at the same time having so many maids to work for you, which is such a wonderful idea, and I'm definitely going to look into this, maybe in a slightly like a slight variation of this. Thank you so much for sharing this interesting fact about you that I don't know if many people know about. And so before going into the how on like the topic that we set for today, let's paint a picture of what this situation really looks like. Like what is this challenge looks like um, what is the percentage of men and women that are unhappy, lost, or overwhelmed, and that they would like to have a dream life, living on their own terms, and
Yeah,
having a dream job?
that's a good question.
Mm-hmm,
How happy are people today? How do our living conditions impact our happiness?
mm-hmm,
um, I mean, it's a difficult question to answer, uh,
mm-hmm,
and depending, of course, of the source you are looking at, you have numbers all over the place.
mm-hmm,
uh, what I found funny, funny, it's maybe not the right term, but when I'm talking with my clients in Hong Kong, or when I'm hearing my friend talking, uh,
mm-hmm,
it seems that the reasons most of the people complain about their lives today is because they are in Hong Kong. Hong
mm-hmm,
Kong, there is this is the way we do things. It's stressful, etc., etc. You know, um, the education system in Hong Kong. But the funny part is that when I'm talking to my French friends, or my friends in New York or in
mm-hmm.
Singapore, they are saying the same thing about Paris, about New York, or about Singapore. So basically, we all, everywhere we are, it seems that we have the same complaint about life. And what I found interesting is that the more uh, the more people are living in cities or countries where there is actually abundance of everything, the more people complain,
Mm-hmm.
and the less people are happy. There was a study done by the Gallup Research Institute that was ranking Hong Kong as the seventh least happy city in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, behind Iran, Iraq, and other areas where you have war. You know,
Really? Oh,
how is
wow.
it how is it possible, right? In a
Mm-hmm.
country where it's one of the richest country in the world, it's one of the safest country in the world, and people still can't find happiness. Um, what I found is sometimes it's good to ask to look at something a little bit more concrete, which is,
Mm-hmm.
how do people enjoy their job?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because happiness about life it's a big topic, but it's very easy to measure happiness at work. And
Mm-hmm.
why is it important is because all of us, when we are awake, most of our time is spent at
Mm-hmm.
work.
Yes.
So another study that was done, and that is pretty scary, is that 85% of the people around the world would like to do something else, and that number is 94% in Hong Kong.
So the conclusion from the two studies that you just mentioned is basically people usually don't like where they are and they appreciate somewhere else, and they don't usually like what they are doing right now, and they appreciate to have something else to do. Is that
Exactly,
correct?
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
we can see it when we look at numbers that are really important. I think is when we look at the millennials,
Mm-hmm.
because they are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, and
Mm-hmm.
they are going to be the one who are going to raise the next generations.
Yes.
So it's important to see how millennials are looking at the job,
Mm-hmm.
and that everybody knows how they are, like we call the job hoppers, changing job every 2 years or something like that. And studies have shown that only a third of them are really engaged in their company or with their employer. 55% of them are not engaged, and 16% are totally disengaged. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So only 33% of those young people really find an interest in what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we look at the latest statistics of last year, because of COVID, 76% of the job seeker in Hong Kong are actually looking to change career or change the industry they're working in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that starts to be a signal, I think, about how people are living the situation.
Mm-hmm. So I guess during this time, like where there's lots of uncertainty about the job market, about employment and the economy, people, for example, some people may be changing their career because they need the money like right away to feed the family, to pay the bills, the mortgages. So yeah, so that's something to think about. Like if we really want to land the dream job or live the life that we want, then how can we prepare ourselves for doing that? Hmm. And you, for example, you follow your dreams and you moved to Hong Kong 13 years ago. Um, you must have encountered like lots of difficulties to find jobs or to change jobs, and even to move to another country like in Hong Kong. So can you share some of your experiences with us?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, First, when I moved to Hong Kong, I have
Mm-hmm.
to set the context. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
at that time, so that was 13 years ago, I
Mm-hmm.
was still very career oriented. I was a typical um, executive trying to climb the ladder of the corporate world and be successful, and so my mindset was totally different than how I'm living my life today.
Mm-hmm.
But I think um, what made me always love my jobs is that I knew what I wanted to achieve when I was looking in a job. So when I moved back from the US to France, it was the year 2000, and it was the internet bubble, and everybody was creating startups. And so I created a startup in France, working with the airports. And when the internet bubble burst, of course, the investors flew away, and I had to find a job. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I was looking at different opportunities, sent a few resumes, and I got to a company. Coincidentally, was working in the duty-free industry, so
Mm-hmm.
selling stuff in the airports.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I was interested in entering that company. I was interested, but not for, especially for the job, which was for being a financial controller. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
even know what was a financial controller doing, but okay, so I
I
went.
was one.
So I learned what it
Mm-hmm.
was, and it was okay. But during the interview, I knew that I wanted to work in business development. I knew I wanted to travel the world and grow the company, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to the interview, actually the first interview I had with them, I told them that. I told them, yeah, I'm fine to do financial controller. I have financial background. I know what is finance, so that's fine. But this is what I want. I want to work in your business development team, and I want to be able to expand your company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I came to Hong Kong, so I traveled a few years for the French company in Asia, and that's why I started to love Asia, and I felt the energy and the difference in culture, and so I was attracted. I wanted to live here, and I didn't know at that time why um, I something was missing in my job in France. So I looked for a company in Hong Kong, actually in Asia. And luckily for me, the number one travel retail company in Asia was in Hong Kong. So everybody knows it. And so I just sent a resume to the CEO, an email. I sent him an email, and I told him, hey, I will be in Hong Kong. Can we meet? So when I came to Hong Kong, I meet with him. I meet with the head of business development. And a few months later, I was packing all my stuff and I was coming to Hong Kong.
Wow.
So the thing is, I'm not exceptional, okay? I have the same diplomas as anybody. I have the same experience. Maybe I'm not smarter than anybody. But when I'm looking for a job or an activity, I know what I want, and I don't know what I want for me. But I always approach even if I was an employee, I always approach my job as an entrepreneur. And I think that's the mindset that is missing today in most of people.
So having the mindset of a business owner. So when you come to a job interview or when you get to speak with one of the people who gives you the job, then they have an idea. They have a sense that you are serving the company's missions and visions and purpose rather than just serving your own career.
Exactly. And also, I think also when you go look for a job, you have to really ditch the advice of those recruiting companies on how to look for a job. I mean, I know people they are looking for jobs for 2 years, sending resumes. So you do your resume, you send you do a cover letter that is some kind of customized, and then you prepare the interview. I mean, I've interviewed hundreds of people in my life, and you always have the same thing. You always have very well prepared answers, but you don't know the person, and that's what people don't understand when you are looking for a job. Is you are going to be interviewed by somebody who is going to be your boss or your colleague, and he wants to know if he likes you. He wants to know if there is going to be a good connection. And so you need to go there with authenticity. You need to go there where when you're talking to someone, he sees the congruence in what you say and your being.
And how did you manage to talk to the CEO and be able to let him give you the job? Like, people would probably be thinking like, oh, you probably know the CEO or know the big guys, maybe.
Okay, I didn't know the CEO. I didn't know anything about that company two weeks before I found the name. Okay.
Yeah, then how can you even get him to meet with you when they're so busy?
Part of life is luck. Okay.
Yeah.
They were creating an international business development team. They needed somebody to handle it. And I sent my email at the right time. Okay. So, but the thing is, you have to create those opportunities.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people would have said, I'm not going to send the email to the CEO. I mean, I sent it to the CEO because I couldn't find the email of anybody else. You know?
Well, they really should
You
improve the
know,
website.
I could have called the HR department, etc. But going through the HR department
Mhm.
is not going to make an impact. It's not going to do anything different than others. So they are going to receive 1,000 emails, resumes, and they are going to look at one by one. And it is
Mhm.
screened. Your emails are screened by HR people that are younger than you.
Mm.
Okay? That's always what I was thinking sometimes is you are giving uh, uh, the recruitment task, which is probably the most important task in a company,
Mhm.
recruiting the right people. You're giving
Yes.
that to 25-year-old people who doesn't even know what the job is about.
Mhm.
So if you have expertise, if you have experience, if you have years of hard work and really talents about what you know what to do, and you are talking to somebody who doesn't even know the job you are applying for, what are the key elements that are critical for that position, you have 50% chance that your resume is going to the next level.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think it's really important to know to circumvent the traditional path that everybody is telling you to do. You have to do your work to be proactive and find new ways and innovative ways to really reach the right person.
Mm. So, do you have any advice for us, like to if we were looking for a dream job and to ditch all the advice from traditional headhunters and HR experts? So, what should we do? Like, we still need to submit our CVs and all these, right? Like, what are the additional or like what are the steps that can make us more competitive compared to other people, other applicants?
What you put on your resume,
Besides being authentic.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think what you put on your resume.
Mhm.
I mean, 95% of the resume we see have the same format, and it's
Mhm.
all about the diplomas you have,
Mhm.
the experience you have,
Mhm.
I mean, the working experience you have.
Yes.
But that doesn't, I mean, when I was receiving resumes, I will have 50 resumes with the same schools, diplomas, uh,
Mhm.
people who worked at JP Morgan and all these big companies, etc. Okay, everybody has the same. You work at JP Morgan doesn't mean, I mean, it means nothing. You work in the Big Four, it means nothing, right? To me.
Mhm. I
You
worked in Big Four before too.
I know. I mean,
Yes, yes.
I don't, I mean, it
Mhm.
means nothing in comparison to the next resume, which has the exact same thing,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes. Mhm.
So in order to differentiate yourself is I was looking as, okay, who you are. So instead of
Mhm.
asking a cover letter, I was always asking questions about what the person was doing during their hobbies, okay?
Mhm.
What they were interested in. And somebody, I remember a resume, a lady, she
Mhm.
had some hobbies that were like knitting,
Mhm.
okay? And at the same time, she was a champion in karate.
Wow.
Okay, so that is typically something that is going to pop out
Mhm.
of the pile, you know.
Mhm.
But what is it you do that brings something else and that shows your personality and your character, you know, because
Yes.
that's the most important in the job.
I totally agree. I used to have friends telling me to eliminate all the passions and hobbies that I had accumulated throughout the years. Just stick to one page and not to put all those unnecessary details in the CV, right? But then I didn't really listen to them, so I ended up having 2 pages. And at the end, I put my hobbies and what I'm really passionate about, like I remember I put aromatherapy and then applying for a job for financial controller. Yes, and then my friend totally disagreed with that, but then I did listen. so, so I ended up getting the job as a financial controller in a healthcare product company where they would like to develop a line and a brand in using essential oils. So that was amazing, like such an amazing experience that people would value the skills or the extra hobbies that I have rather than just my experience from big four firms and things like that. So it feels so nice to have you talking about this. It kind of confirms the idea that we still need other stuff, not just our traditional education and working backgrounds, but rather we still have to have our passions so that
Yeah.
people know you, who you are. You are a passionate person in what you do, so that they can relate to the fact that you perhaps you will be passionate in doing your job as well.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
your passion, your hobby
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
related to the company,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Coincidentally, yes.
coincidentally, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when people are telling you, oh, you need to follow this format, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
you need to also think about if you want to land your dream job.
Mm-hmm.
So the resume and all these things is good to have a
Mm-hmm.
job, but if you want to land your dream job, you need to think about one element, which is if the company doesn't hire you
Mm-hmm.
because you put your hobbies on your
Mm-hmm.
resume, do you
Mm-hmm.
want to work for that company?
Mm.
I remember this company, big company in France,
Uh-huh.
that would be a great first step in your career. And I saw uh, a job advertisement in the
Mm-hmm.
newspaper, and so I sent my resume, no answers. The
Mm-hmm.
next week, I see the same ad. I send again my resume, still no answer.
Uh-huh.
3 or 4 weeks in a row like this. So at some point, I start to call them and try to get in touch with somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
I get somebody in the human resource department, and she tells me, oh, "Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, that's a very good resume, etc., etc." I say, "Yeah, I don't understand. Can you tell me when I can meet the person who the manager?"
Mm-hmm.
And she say, "But do you have a business school? Did you do a French business school?" So I told her, no, I didn't, but I have the international experience in the US and I have other diplomas, etc., etc. I say, oh, no, no, the person wants only people who have a French business school. Okay. How do you react to this kind of rejection? Okay. Do you need to feel, oh, yeah, so I don't have a business school. I'm not worth it? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you need to think about, okay, if that's the way they recruit people, it's probably not the right company for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay.
that's a really good mindset. At least you don't get self-doubt,
You,
which can really impact on like self-confidence, and then which has a negative impact on your next job interview and so
exactly.
on.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. That's a really good idea. Like, oh, I can totally relate to this because I got an invitation to have a job interview at a really big headhunter company before, and then they arranged 10 interviews with me, like with all these directors and like the top management. So I felt like if they are willing to spend all this time to invest in me to interview with me, then I have a super high chance to getting the job, right? And then finally at the last stage with like the biggest guy in the company, when he looked at my CV where I put all these hobbies and different experiences, and not just sticking to financial accounting or uh, HR experience, he said that I'm too all over the place. I'm not too focused in HR or finance. So that was why he did not hire me. So I was like, oh, that made a huge impact in my self-confidence at that time. But then, of course, later on, I reinforced and told myself that, oh no, that's his way of seeing talents. It
Mhm.
has nothing to do with me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really like that the fact that you share this with us. And so you had a successful career, and then a few years ago, you were made redundant. So, how did you feel and how did you recover from it? Now that we're talking about self doubt and
Yeah.
self confidence.
So yeah, so first I have been very
Mm-hmm.
fortunate
Mm-hmm.
because I had a lot of opportunities to be successful, and I mean I reached a certain uh, career level seniority in companies that a lot of people told me I am successful, and I thought I was successful at the time. Um, but in December 2013,
Mm-hmm.
I remember that day. I went to the office at 8 a.m. like as usual, and at 10 a.m. I went to the. I was called to the talent management department, and that was not really unusual because they are the one who manage all my recruitment. So I go there, but the meeting turned a lot shorter than expected, and 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes later in the meeting,
Mm-hmm.
they gave me a letter, and
Mm-hmm.
they tell me, and they just tell me you have a you have to go. We couldn't find you another job, and
Mm-hmm.
you have 1 hour to take your stuff and leave the office.
1 hour.
1 hour. So, after pouring my heart in my job for 7 years
Mm-hmm.
and traveling a lot, I was traveling over half of the year. So living my life basically in hotels and planes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not taking care of my health. I wasn't taking time for my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just fired. And so I know that there are some people in your audience that
Mm-hmm.
got this experience last year,
Yes.
and so I want them to know that I know how they feel. I know
Mm-hmm.
how it feels to be in this kind of meeting, to have to pick up your stuff and to go home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you feel betrayed, on this.
Yes.
You feel confused, you feel lost, you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you lose your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back home. I stare at the wall for I don't know how many hours, just thinking about what was my life at that moment. And so I was 40
Mm-hmm.
years old. I was going through a very painful and lengthy divorce,
Mm-hmm.
trying to fight for my kids who were living in France. I was living alone in Hong Kong, and I have no job, and soon I will have no house because it was the company's house. I will have no car because it was a company's car. So, I was like nothing. And I want to tell people who live this experience that this kind of things has nothing to do with you. It's purely financial. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's numbers. The
Yes.
company needs to meet some financial uh, hurdles. They just take
Mm-hmm.
a list of people and they let them go. That's the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so don't. And I know there are also people who kept their jobs, and who saw their colleagues go. That also
Yes.
feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
And to those people, you shouldn't feel bad as well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because what I always tell my clients who are in this kind of experience is I don't know who is the luckiest person between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because you kept your job, or is it because you were let go? Because when
Mm-hmm.
you see, when you life sometimes have give you unexpected gifts in
Mm-hmm.
unexpected ways.
Yes.
And when you get let go, it gives you the unique opportunity to be able to pause,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, when we are an employee, we never have time to stop and think about our life. So day after day, we try to survive. We go to work, we do everything. We come home, we are tired, and we don't think about the next year or in 10 years, right? So when we are let go, it's really maybe a good time for you to just pause and reflect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, um, it's the least cost um, to rethink about our life during that time, because there's nothing else to lose, because the job is gone already. So might as well spend the time to rethink about life, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. If not, then we'll be having the job, and then we're too comfortable working in such an environment that we would not risk to redesign or replan the whole life. So yeah, that's a really great idea. And I love the fact that you emphasize the fact that it's just numbers. It has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Because when people go through such situation, they will keep on asking why, like why the company is doing this to me, why, like I did so much for the company, I spent 7 years, I like work day and night overtime and sacrifice a lot, and why are they doing this to me and only give me 1 hour
Yeah.
to pack, like it's inhumane and unreasonable, right? So yeah, please keep in mind that it's just numbers. It's not because of our ability or um, anything else. Is just numbers. So it will help us to pass this stage and then move on.
Exactly.
I love that idea. And when you mentioned that life would give us unexpected gift, like do
Yeah.
you have an example of what gift that you received after you had this experience?
You know, I received so many gifts since then,
Uh-huh.
but what happened actually
Mm-hmm.
is the next day when I woke up,
Mm-hmm.
my brain realized that 2 months before I had paid for a trip to climb the Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania.
Wow.
And I always
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, I will never be prepared. I don't have time to train, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
the next day when I woke up, I realized that, man, I will have all the time to train now. I have no excuse. You know, I will go there and I will climb the mountain. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I've done. And I have, since then, I did a lot of climbing, of sailing, of picking up all the thing I have postponed for so many years. And I
Mm-hmm.
started to do it again and again. And, um, and by doing that, I started to feel what I was really missing in my job and what I really wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Tony Robbins said it very well. Success without fulfillment is failure. You
Yes.
know, and
Mm-hmm.
when I heard that the first time, I mean, it really strongly resonated with me because it exactly put words on what I
Mm-hmm.
was feeling. So the last 2 years in my job, I was successful on paper on a material
Mm-hmm.
uh, point, but I was not really enjoying what I
Mm-hmm.
was doing because I mean, I liked what I was doing, but I was not fulfilled by what I was doing because I was not growing personally anymore. I knew exactly what to do, and that's the risk when you start to be comfortable in your job.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Yes.
know that you know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, with who to do it. You know, you are so comfortable that you forget that you need to grow personally. You need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to die little by little without seeing it, without realizing it.
So from then on, did you land on another dream job or started your own business?
So what I've so when I came back to Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
I had this choice to make. right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the corporate world or
Mm-hmm.
doing something else. That the thing is, when I was climbing those mountains and going to seminars and reading books,
Mm-hmm.
I started to think about, okay, what makes me really happy, you know, and and by finding what makes me happy, I was able to choose my path. You know, it, it's really important to understand that uh, happiness happiness is something you create
Mm-hmm.
from it's something you feel when you achieve something, okay, when you finish a project, when you have a job, or when you receive a gift, or when you give a big hug to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you have happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness is coming and then it fades away. It's a fleeting emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
What is important to understand is fulfillment is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
It's more subtle. It's a quality of well-being and alignment at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, and that is linked to a sense of purpose,
Uh-huh.
relationship, and belonging to life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mental state in which you feel part of something greater than you, and that's what I was missing in
Mm-hmm.
my previous job. You know,
Okay.
I realized that uh, the industry I was working in was actually not really creating anything for the world. You know, we were just selling luxury stuff to people who probably didn't need it. So so I didn't feel the purpose of my job.
Mm-hmm.
So my choice between, do I go back to a corporate job or do I create something myself, was easy to make, because if I was going back to another company or competitors, it would be the same thing, right? So that's why I chose to create my own company. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that all corporate work is bad, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't what I needed at that time. But I'm really grateful that I had 15 years of experience in those companies, because without that, I wouldn't be able to create my own company.
Mm-hmm. So, so for those who may not consider starting their own business and they would like to go back to the corporate world, do you have any um, advice or anything that you would like to share on how to get a fulfilling job rather than a job that just gives uh, temporary happiness?
So I think finding a fulfilling job
Mm-hmm.
requires work on yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
okay. The thing is, when you want to find a fulfilling job, you have to solve a paradox. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the paradox is this one: you are the one who wants to change, but at the same times, you are the one who are your biggest obstacle. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain why. Because, and you probably heard that several times already, our dreams, our goals,
Uh-huh.
most of them are not ours. Okay, they have been programmed
Oh, yeah.
consciously and unconsciously in our mind since we are born. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
our parents, our teachers, the media, the social media now, they just program everything to make you think and believe in a certain societal belief of success. Success is like this: you need to have this kind of house, this kind of car, this kind of salary, this kind of job title, and that's a successful person, right?
Mm-hmm.
What people need to do then is, you need to understand that life is a lot more complex than that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we are a man or a woman, we are maybe a spouse, we are a son or a daughter, we are a parent maybe. Okay, we have different roles in our life, and the only way to be fulfilled is to have a balance.
Mm-hmm.
And a balance doesn't mean you have to spend 10% of your time in each area of your life. That's not what it means. It means that you need to define who you want to be in each area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you aim at achieving that, which means that you are not going to start your search of a fulfilling job by looking for a job. You're
Mm-hmm.
starting to find a fulfilling job by knowing what you want and who you want to be in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And your job is just going to be one element that is going to support your growth to become who you want to be. Only
That's so
then,
profound. Mm-hmm.
oh, profound.
Yes, that is profound. So job is just one element of our lives, and it aligns with our life missions and life purpose rather than the job being the whole thing in our lives. Because many people focus on job like 100% and disregard everything else.
And that's how we are raised, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you go to school, the whole school years, the whole university is about to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you have your parents pushing you
Mm-hmm.
to have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your boss who is going to push you to keep your job because he needs you. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing is about the job. And
Mm-hmm.
how many of my friends are telling me, oh, I cannot come, I cannot do that, I cannot do this on the weekend, I have to work, etc. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my best friend is he earned probably, I don't know, 10, 20 times what I'm earning. But the thing is, when I want to go climb a mountain, I go and I spend my 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks there. And every time he tells me, oh, I wish I could come with you. Yes, but your job is your priority, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So life, to have a fulfilling life and to
Mm-hmm.
have a fulfilling job is about knowing what is your priority.
I admire the fact that you have such clarity. I still remember last time when we want to schedule the time for this interview, a Wednesday or something. You told me that that's the night when you have the dating night with your wife, and you declined the date to have this interview. So it was amazing that he really knows what he wants in life. That everything that he does fall into place and align with your purpose and missions.
I try my
Yeah.
best. Not always succeeding at it, but I try my
Mhm.
best. Yes, yes.
Yes, that's really profound. Thank you so much. And so, how do you help people to find a fulfilling job? And can you tell me more about like what you do?
Sure. The way I work,
Mm-hmm.
I'm launching some events, and
Mm-hmm.
I call it the Life Success Accelerator,
Mm-hmm.
which is exactly what I explained. It's about really going back to find out where you are today. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go somewhere, you need to first make a truthful inventory of where you are today. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
most of the people don't know. Most of the people will tell themselves stories about why they are here, why they cannot get this job, why they were, we all tell ourselves some stories at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So the starting point is really, okay, what is true and what is not true? And let's be transparent, let's be responsible and take 100% responsibilities of the future. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not uh, diminishing experience that people had in the past that could have been traumas and very difficult situation.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. The thing is, this is a past
Mm-hmm.
and it cannot hurt you anymore in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Unless we let it. Mm-hmm.
unless you let them
Mm-hmm.
keep coming after you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So but most people don't have those traumas. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
most people, they just say, the boss is not nice, he doesn't understand, my colleague didn't do that, you know. So it's more about, okay, the truth about ourselves. So we do really, okay, where are you now in different areas of your life? First, it's really interesting that people don't think about that. Okay. What are the different areas of your life? Have you thought about it? Okay. And how do you rank yourself on that? If you have a scale from 0 to 10, where do you rank yourself in these areas? Okay. Because if you see a lot of imbalance, this is where you need to put some focus. Okay? And we never work on all the areas at the same times because we don't have time in our busy life. So we look at where we are today, the truth about it, and where we want to go. Okay? And that's the most exciting part. Okay. What do you want in life? You know, I can ask 10 people every day, what are your dreams? What do you want to achieve? I would say that 9.5% of them don't know.
Yes.
Okay? 95% of people don't know what they want because they don't have time to think about it, or they don't take the time to think about it. So we spend a lot of time in that, okay, reconnecting with the dream. And that's very difficult because when you haven't thought about your dreams for a long time, you have pushed them back, you know, postponed them over and over again, it's very difficult to reconnect to your dreams. So we work on that. And then we will implement a system that we call the Ultimate 5, where we will go through all the steps to create your life vision and transition from a life vision to achievable goals. Okay, because having a life vision is great, but it's sometimes difficult to achieve. Okay, so you need to break it down into achievable goals, actionable goals, down to the daily goals. You know, so we are going to go through a whole system like this with the participants, and so at the end, you really have a system that allows you to work on your goals, small or big goals, and achieve them. So that's what we do. So the next one will be in April, and we are really excited about that.
Yes. After the Q&A sessions, we will be posting the link to your program. So if any of you are interested in understanding more on how to land your dream job using the approach that Alex can share, please stay tuned. So right now we have quite a number of questions that I'd like to ask you on behalf of the audience. So the first one is to balance your passion with your vocation. What are the upsides and downsides? How do you balance that?
To balance my passion with my
vocation.
Vocation or job?
The person wrote vocation.
Okay, because for me, vocation means a job that you really are passionate about. You know, that's a vocation. So it's difficult to balance the two. So if we can have more detail, or I will answer another way. Once you have found what you really want in life, it's very, you don't need to balance it. You know, I probably work more today than I was doing, and I was working a lot when I was working in the corporate world, but I probably work more today, but it's not work anymore.
Because you're passionate about it.
Because I'm passionate about it. And I know that everything I'm doing has a real purpose, you know? So balancing, and so I'm going to take another example, which might relate more to the audience, is if you have a job and you need to balance with a passion you have outside of the job, it's just a question of allocating the time to your passion and to set boundaries. Okay, a lot of people are telling me I don't have time to do that. Okay, the question is not about time. The question is about priority. We all have 24 hours in a day. What do you do during these 24 hours? Okay, how efficient you are at the office. Okay, a lot of people in Hong Kong tell me, oh, but I'm working late at night. I have to stay at the office. Why? Okay, what do you do during your hours at the office? Because by experience, when I had the team, I can tell you that what they were doing in 10 hours or 8 hours, they probably can do it in 4 or 5. Okay, just because
it's a matter of focus, right?
Exactly, focus. Exactly.
Yes.
So when you focus really on something, you are able to achieve more, and you free your time, you know.
So I have a second question. Now that you have your own business, what is the challenge for having your own business since COVID, and what are the opportunities? And what is the advice you would give to people who are transitioning from corporate to having their own business? And then this person has one more, but then I'll let you answer the first two first.
So how does COVID has changed my way of doing business? You see today. You use internet, you know? And I was very I started to use internet for my business in December, actually January 2020. Okay, so it was just before COVID, but you had all these protests in Hong Kong, etc. And so I started. I knew nothing about internet, Facebook, Instagram, all these things. I knew nothing about it. But the thing is, you see things are changing in the world.
Yes.
We didn't talk about that, but there are macro trends today that are going to change the way we work, the way we live, and the way we interact with each other. So you need to look at those changes that are going to happen. And okay, the other way, the only way for me to continue to create my business and grow my business was the internet. Well, you just have to learn. You know,
Yes.
you learn, or you find somebody who can do it, etc. So it's just adapt. You know, and when there is a challenge like this, it's also an opportunity. You know, so if you see things, if you see each challenge that are coming to you as an entrepreneur, because if you want to create your own business, you will face challenges every day. Okay, you need to have the mindset of taking all these challenges as learning experience. You will fail 90% of the time. Okay, I can tell you my first experience of doing ads on Facebook, on YouTube, cost me a fortune. I forgot to know how to do the budgeting things. I mess up something. It's an experience. You remember it, you know? So just take everything as a learning experience, because if you do that, and it's the same in a corporate world, actually. In the corporate world, everything is learning experience. If you adopt this mindset, you will see that you are not making any failures anymore. Okay,
We're growing instead.
you are growing. Every time is a new step. Oh, but you need to reflect on your errors and take the lesson out of it. This is how you grow.
So, do you have any advice for those people who are transitioning from corporate to their own business?
My main advice that serves me for years now is hire a coach.
Ah, yes.
You know, a coach is somebody who is going to help you accelerate all your progress. It will help you identify your blind spot. It will help you. and here we need to make a difference between a coach and a mentor. Okay? These are two totally different people. I mean, totally two different things. It could be the same person, but it's two different things. Okay, a mentor is someone who has gone through what you want to achieve. Okay, so he can share his experience about how to do things. Okay, he gives advice. But
Yes.
a coach is somebody who is not going to give you advice. It's somebody who is going to make you think differently. He's going to identify your obstacles and help you solve them. But you are going to do the work, not the coach.
Okay. Do any advice on how to choose a coach?
So first advice, if a coach give you advice, change. Because you don't want to live the life that was planned by your coach, right? You want to live your life.
Yes.
The second thing is don't use a friend, okay? Because a friend, you want to have a coach that is not going to listen to your excuses. Oh, I was tired. Okay, that's fine. You do it tomorrow. No, you want somebody who is going to make you accountable. You want somebody who has the technique and the expertise to get you where you want to be, to get you to have the disciplines and the skills that you need to get to the next level. You know, everything you have today, the skills, the competencies, the experience, the expertise, is what took you where you are today. But if you want to go to the next level in your life, you need to acquire those new skills. And you need to acquire those new habits, and discipline is key. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you really, really need to be ready to have this discipline.
Thank you. And I have a few more questions from the audience. So, what are the myths of having your own business? Can you share what is it really like, especially your transition and journey, as it seems that people tend to over romanticize working for themselves?
Myth. I would say that working for yourself is difficult. It requires a lot of mental strength. That's why having a coach is great. You know, when uh, when my mind goes in the dark, you know, when I have this loop of thinking, oh, why I did that, etc. You know, you need to have somebody you can talk to. You need to have somebody who knows what you're going through, and you need to have somebody you can talk to that is going to take you back to the emotional state where you can reconnect with your dreams, where you can reconnect with your strategy, with your goals, etc. Okay, so that's why that's the importance of a coach. So that's why I always have a coach, and some people, you know, are surprised when I tell them that I have coach. But
Coaches have to have coaches too.
exactly. A coach who doesn't have a coach, or never had a real professional coach, it's difficult to use, I would say. So that's always a criteria when I'm using a coach.
I can totally relate to that because I work for myself too. And sometimes there are days where I just don't want to wake up and don't want to do the job, or I forgot the original intention of why I'm doing it. So there are times like that. There's ups and downs. So having a coach to remind me of my goals and my mission would be very useful. It
Yeah,
keeps me going in the long run.
exactly. One thing also, when you want to become entrepreneur, I think it's really important to understand that, I mean, at least it worked for me. You're not doing it for the money. Right? You are doing it because you have a purpose. You want to achieve something. Okay.
Yes.
If you are doing it for the money, you at the first challenge, first obstacle, you will quit. So don't become an entrepreneur because of the money. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you are able to, my experience, and probably I've been very fortunate for that, is the more I was focusing on contributing and serving my clients,
Mm-hmm.
the more I was successful in my business. Okay.
Because people would be asking, like, they still need to pay the bills, they need to bring food on the table. Like, what do you mean by not focusing on the money and serving instead?
You don't jump.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will never recommend
Mm-hmm.
somebody to quit their job and go to
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship without any savings or any plan. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you need to strategize your life,
Mm-hmm.
which means that if you want to transition to entrepreneurship, you need to strategize it, and you need to make it a transition, not just a break. Okay, if you lost your job, you are pushed towards a choice, and if your choice is entrepreneurship, it's different. Okay, now when some people say, yeah, you need to feed yourself, you need to, yeah, I understand that,
Mm-hmm.
but there are plenty of solutions for that. Okay, I know a lot of people in Hong Kong are still living at their parents, so
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a rent to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Food in Hong Kong you can eat for, you know, it's kind of cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to buy the new iPhone 12 today if
Mm-hmm.
you want to become an entrepreneur. Okay, so it's all, again, it's prioritizing what is going to serve your business and grow your business compared to other things that are secondary to your objective, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's profound too. So it's a matter of discipline, focus, and prioritization. And one last question. So you mentioned about dreams that are from external sources, such as like from parents, from the society, from school, or teachers, or friends. So we thought those dreams are our dreams, but they are actually from other people. So how do you differentiate our true dreams from those dreams that are from external sources?
It's difficult. No, I mean, it's
Mhm,
very, very difficult. And the way I did it, and the way I think a lot of successful people have done it, is that most of us are guided by two mental models mainly.
mhm,
One is the have, do, be, and
mhm,
the other one is the do, have, be. Okay, what
mm,
it means is you have certain people who are what we call the victims or the procrastinator, who
mhm,
are working with a have, do, be, which means that they are always waiting to have something before they do something. Okay, and then they will become happy, they will be successful, etc. Okay,
mhm,
then most of us are raised to become do, have, be. Okay, we are taught to do things in order to have things, and when we have, we will be successful. Okay,
mhm,
as long as we are working in these mental models, it will be very, very difficult to have a fulfilling life. And that's what we do in our seminars, is we help people shift to the third model, which is the be, do, have.
mhm,
Okay, so when you know who you want to be, and it's a long process to really understand what kind of person you want to be, what kind of father you want to be, what kind of colleague you want to be, what kind of boss you want to be, what
mhm,
kind of spouse you want to be. Okay, it's going really deep. uh, so you need time to do all this, and you need people to guide you on how to do that. But when
mhm,
you know who you want to be, it's very easy to know what you have to do, because you live with your values, and your heart, you know, your heart knows exactly when you are not aligned. I mean, we all felt it. You know, you do an action, you feel uncomfortable, you feel uneasy. That's just your heart telling you, hey, that's not you. You are doing something that is not aligned right now, you know. So when you know who you want to be, you know, you tell me it's easy. When I say, oh, on the Thursday it's my date night with my wife, I do nothing at this moment. It's easy because I know who I want to be as a spouse, you know, and that's my priority. So it's very easy to say no. You know?
Yes.
Same for the job. Same for the job. I have a client who came to me. He wanted me to work on a certain type of project, which I didn't like. It was easy for me to say no, even if the money was really, really good. It was easy for me to say no because I know who I want to be in my business.
Yes. So I really admire that you have such clarity on what you want to be or who you are, and then everything will just fall into place. So it will be so wonderful to enroll into your program to see how we can rediscover or remember who we really are, and then eventually the job will be so easy to get, because once we know who we are, we know what to do, and then the fulfilling job, you can just feel it, which one is fulfilling, which one is not, and then which company or which culture would align with our purpose and missions and visions. So thank you so much, Alex, for having this profound sharing with us. Thank you
I'll
so,
just
so much.
I'll just
Okay.
add one thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there is any program in the world that is going to uh, make you know who you want to be, have a clear plan, and in a few years you are going to be there. Okay, that doesn't exist, because transitioning to who you want to be and just knowing who you want to be is a journey. And a lot of people forget something. A lot of us are focusing on a destination. Okay, but life, a fulfilling life, is not about the destination. A fulfilling life is about every day. Okay, it's about the journey, and knowing where you want to go, knowing who you want to be, is going to take time. And I mean, I started my journey in 2014. Every year I'm changing something, you know,
Yes.
I never stop, you know, and that's the beauty of life. That's the adventure where you are going on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Be wonderful to, uh, it's really wonderful for you to share this with us. And I look forward to learning more about your program later after this event. And we will have even more speaker coming up, going to newgig.me to do other sharings. For example, becoming an entrepreneur by Christina, and the essential skills that are necessary in the workspace by Gloria Tam. And then we will have many more programs coming up, such as the free coaching programs and also free mock interviews and CV reviews. So please stay tuned and make sure you register at newgig.me and like and follow our Facebook. And most importantly, take a look at Alex Masterclass program as well. We have the QR code uploaded here. So thank you so much, Alex. Thank you for
Thank you so
sharing
much.
with us.
Life is our greatest adventure. So
Yes.
let's make it extraordinary.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful night. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Oh, good evening as well. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.